All right, welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 47. I am your host, Supreme King, joined by my co-host as always, and his name is...
It's your guy Omazes.
How you doing today, sir? How's
Hot.
everything?
I hate
It's
it.
hot?
It's hot. It's hot. Hot weather. I don't like it. It's too hot.
It ain't hot over here-ish. It's not hot.
It was hot the other days, but like it's still hot. I want it back to being 60.
Is it hot right now? It don't feel hot to me. Let me look.
Hot.
Let me. Like, I know it's like it was hovering like the 70s for a while.
Yeah, it's too hot.
That's too hot.
70s, and then it's about to be going up to the 80s for like one day. It's too hot. Too hot. I prefer it to be like 60.
So let's say it's 75 degrees and it's sunny.
Yeah, that's
and
a
then
lie. It feel like 80.
It's 75 and then it's supposed to be like 70 throughout the week, but it's going to be more cloudy.
Yeah,
Ain't that hot? I feel good. You put the air conditioner on or open up the freezer and just stick your head in there. Isn't that what people do? They stick their head in the freezer. What's up, everybody? Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I do want to address my hiatus. I am back. I'm not as active as I've probably been like 3-4 months ago, but I'm back and you will still get more content from me periodically. Thank you for watching the last couple of vids that were like all about a whole bunch of games that I wish listed and bought. I don't think I'm gonna have as many for the next one because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like as much as what I saw. It would be kind of crazy if you got like 20 games or 20 then 19 then 20 again, you know, and it's like, okay, you're up 60 titles in 3 months, so they're not really going to be that frequent, but you will get more videos on other content within the next couple weeks. And I also wanted to address that we somehow, some way missed the Street Fighter content, at least talking about it, the showcase from a couple weeks ago. And I just wanted to just talk about it extremely quick. Cool game, cool concept as far as like having the ability to just sort of free roam and then you just boom, you're in a matchmaking kind of thing. I think that's cool. I don't think I've seen that too many times before, unless you're just doing some sort of like Grand Theft Auto kind of thing, but it doesn't just like go into a full play sequence. But I like it, and I'm looking forward to the game when it's out. And I will admit that I might wait on it a little bit until they might have like what's considered the definitive version where all the characters are there, and it's not that I just bought it and then next thing you know, I gotta pay for this character pack, that character pack. I don't know if they're gonna do that this time around, but that's kind of how they went with it with Street Fighter V, and it was just kind of a turnoff overall. But how you feel about that?
Yeah, it sounds like something to like wait until all of them are just in it and they release the super version.
The commentary is cool. I like the commentary thing.
That part seems cool. You know, I'm all for creating characters and stuff like that, so I think that's a nice little twist. I don't know. I still want to hear about it like after it comes out first.
I would just like how Street Fighter V had like the I think it was Championship Edition. It was like that's the kind of edition I would want to buy from, where it's my first like purchase for the game period. Like I don't want to, because if you look at Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2, you're just sort of stuck in this situation where that one's like the most extreme one, where it's just like we keep making more characters and I'm just like, well, I might be done with the game, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to just keep going back and reinstall it just to do that. I would like to have the full experience when I play it, and then I can move on, versus like, oh, we released a new game or a new character like every 6 months or something like that. But at least from what they were showing as a presentation, I think it's phenomenal. I think they got something there. It makes me say though, where's the info on Tekken? Because we haven't seen as much promotional material on Tekken.
Well, they have been releasing character fights or like character
Okay.
introductions every once in a while. Like they just showed, they just released a video for my favorite character.
All right.
What's his name? Harong. The one who kicks. So he's really good at kicking in the
Okay.
game. Like all of his combos is kicking. He's my main. So they just released his promotion video. So like it seems like once a month they drop like a video. Like here's one more character, like that's in the game. But so far it's not anybody new. So it's your people that you expect to be in the game, like Jin, Harong, Lee, like those people. So King, like things like that. So they've been slow, very slow with the here's who's in there.
Okay. Well, I don't know when their release date is in compared to Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is more around the corner, and they do still have the demo out. Maybe Tekken will be just a little bit more aggressive in these streets a little bit later. But I haven't seen them just really have their stuff posted everywhere though. Maybe you just have to go to their channel to see it. But it was like with Street Fighter, you see it on like social media. Like I see some of their stuff just pop up. And I guess also they were doing like their commentary thing too. And some of the commentator guys are from other places, just like how Selena Vega, is that her name? Or like the old
Selena Vega, yeah.
Yeah. Like how she's kind of in the game and she has commentary, and then there's like they have voices from just like different areas that sort of just came together to be in this game. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So Street Fighter 6, I haven't played the demo. I've been very busy, but the demo's been out for a while for anybody, so they can really, get a grasp of if they really like this game or not, right away. Other than that, I guess we can throw some news stuff out there real quick. I could start with yours because it looks like you wanted to talk about Saints Row having an update.
Yeah, so they keep calling it the biggest update yet, where they tried to fix a bunch of stuff finally. And they released a whole new area to play in called like Sunshine Springs or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunshine Springs. And they've like tried to really just fix everything. So it's nice to see that even though the company, kind of got shut down to this game.
Yeah, I guess that the game is dead at this point. It's like dead.
But for the people who really want to give it a chance,
yeah, they followed it through.
Yeah, so at least if anybody tries to jump on it now or something like that, at least it won't be, I guess, as broken as it was before. So there's that. Like I still don't think I'm gonna try it, but because you can't really fix the way the characters are. And I know that was another complaint, right? It was how annoying
that. I think that was more bigger than its performance. Like we still know that its performance was kind of bad at launch, but it was just the content itself was what the backlash came from. So there is, which reminds me of Suicide Squad, where it's like I guess their last minute attempt. Maybe they're trying to change the content.
I don't know. They need to just release it and move on. Because that game's been in the works for like 10 years. It
was funny because I still remember they had like when they showed that footage, they were confident with it. It was a lot of footage, and then next thing you know, there was just like 10 months. It was like they was ready.
I don't understand how they could be so confident when everything they showed off was a complaint for the Avengers. And it was like, if it's a complaint for the Avengers, why would it be good for Suicide? Like, of course it's gonna get complaints as well. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how like they see the video games, right? And it's like, let's see what failed. Marvel's Avengers. Let's be honest, Gotham Knights. Was like it was out of the failures. Gotham Knights, I guess, was on the better end, and I personally enjoyed it. But like
well,
Marvel's
there
Avengers,
was Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a better game as far as content, but it caught strays because of Marvel
Avengers, right? But the ones that did well, Spider-Man, Batman, and it's like people want single player, like single player, really solid story where you really get to be this character, not a generic multiplayer game.
Right.
And it's like you saw that, and you still went with the direction of generic multiplayer game for Suicide Squad. I don't get it, but
Funny enough, I actually installed the Marvel Avengers, the PS5 version on PS5 yesterday. Actually, no. This morning, right before I went out for breakfast, I actually installed it this morning because I knew in my head it was supposed to be delisted by September, and yes, I would still have access to it because I have the disc version. But I wanted to have it done while they're still kind of working on it versus just like when they're just done with it. I don't know how to explain it, but like if there was something they could do with the Black Panther content and stuff, like all that other stuff, like I just wanted to like have it done by then. I had this whole plan on being done with all the PS3 stuff by the time Tears of the Kingdom came out, and like completely missed that mark. But we'll talk about that in a second when a certain footage comes on the screen. But yeah, I installed that, and I guess I can mention this news real quick too, regarding that, and then might go into the next thing. Just on Marvel in general, I guess Spider-Man 2018 had a PS5 version now that is standalone away from the Miles Morales game. And if anybody remember before, it was like a very confusing thing that you had to do just to try to get an upgrade. And apparently now it's a $10 upgrade if you own the game. I would say that's the best way to go because you can still get the game used somewhere and just put the $10 upgrade. But if you buy the PS5 version, it's like $49.99. I haven't seen any like special case or anything out there as far as a physical version. So that might be just a digital thing. But yeah, that's out there. And then we missed Comic Book Day as far as like, I'm just like a lot of my news is from last week. Yeah, so they had a free comic for the promotion of like the Spider-Man 2 game. I actually missed it. I was trying to figure out how to get it. There might still be
some free copies at your local comic book store.
Okay.
So I'm sure if they didn't get rid of all of them, they're not going to just throw them out. Yeah, there might be some free copies. Go through, support your local comic book stores. They need it. Great places. So find one near you. They're everywhere. You can go find one. Yeah, get you a copy.
Yeah, and I guess that could segue into like your other topic as far as like the Midnight Suns and their last DLC, and then how they're just canceling the Switch version altogether. Which I still don't understand that part, but go ahead.
Midnight Suns, Marvel's Midnight Suns. They had the Deadpool DLC, the Venom DLC, and the Morbius DLC, and their last one for their season pass thing is Storm DLC, which should be really cool.
Okay.
So I think after Storm comes out, I might go ahead and pick this game up. With all of them in there. It was still considered like a commercial failure, but I heard that it's a really good game. And from what I've seen, it looks good. But yeah, they decided after like announcing the Storm DLC that they were going to cancel the Switch version of the game. And it was just like, our bad. Like, and I don't know. This does tie into a bigger topic that I had with like what's going on with games recently. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I guess they're trying to say they just can't lower it to, I guess, the system, what the system can handle. So they're just canceling it. They decided not to do it. Or maybe they just realized because it was a commercial failure that they don't see them.
They don't want to like spend the resources to do it or something.
Yeah, on the Switch when it's like they don't think they're going to make that much money. So they're just like, nah. But, yep, that got canceled.
So that's just strange. It is strange that they.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's strange that they had to go there and do that. Yeah. Because like, I wouldn't have advertised that version at all if I didn't have it already kind of ready, or not really ready, but like you haven't already worked on it. It almost sounds like they didn't even work on it then.
Yeah,
Or they
it doesn't.
just and I'm like, well, what were you like? How would you like? It seemed tacky, and it's really. And I don't want to say it like this, but the word that comes to my mind when it comes to a lot of how gaming has been released lately, it just the only word I could come up with is ghetto. Like,
yes. So let's actually talk about it. So, I understand there's probably been some minor releases in between, but like I know two of the biggest releases lately, it was Star Wars Jedi Survivor and then Redfall, and it was like one. They had to put stickers on the Redfall cases to say, sorry, the game's capped at 30 frames per second, because right on the box it says 60 frames per second.
yeah.
Then, and it's like, if you couldn't do 60 frames, why'd you print that on everything? And then Jedi Survivor, where EA pretty much putting out a message saying like, oh, you owned a high-end graphics card? Well, sucks to suck, you can't play our game. Which is so weird to me. It's just like, if you're in the middle, you're good, but if you wasted your money on something high end, it's too bad. Go buy something lower or something. Like, what's going on with games that is just not able to work with the technology we have? Between that, having to cancel the Switch version, or putting an extra month behind Hogwarts Legacy's like.
Yeah, I think that just got released this last week, right?
Yep.
The old version. Or not old version,
and it's just like,
but yeah.
The previous gen versions got released now, and it was just like, how much did you have to de-res and lower in order for it to finally work on the old stuff? And it's like, well, was it worth it? And it's weird that it's just, everything does feel, it's just ghetto and janky. Like, why is it not working? Why is everything coming out broken? Why are you making false promises and everything? And it's not even like major like stuff. These are like, if your game can do 60 frames per second or not. Why would you advertise it on, like, if you put it on the box, that means it is a selling point. Like, that is a big deal that it can go up to 60 frames, just to be like, oh, our bad, it can't. Well, here's the game. And it's just like, no, if that was the case, you don't put it on there. So everybody's just like, it's 30 frames. And then later you're like, hey guys, we're releasing a 60 frames patch because we heard you. As opposed to advertising 60 and then failing at it. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it seems like a widespread issue across all the systems, because I know there was like a whole thing with Xbox with Redfall where people, they were probably animating it up with just their content because it was Xbox and everything, and they're just trying to make it as juicy as they can, just for the clicks. But really, it was widespread. It was just like, it wasn't just Redfall that came out bad. It was like the week before, it really was Jedi, and then there was like the Last of Us port and a few others, big and small.
But like, if we even go farther back, right? Not to pick on this game further, but like Cyberpunk, for example, it was like, you knew.
Yeah, I remember there was like a post that said, it was like, it's just now starting to seem like it's in early access, and it was like 9 months later or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
what?
It was like, did y'all really look at it? I was like, well, they like the Untitled Goose Game, so they'll like this. Like, it was like you knew and everything. Just own up to it. What is with this? Just this ghetto-ness of releases. Like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and the reason why I say ghetto is because at the same time, the excuses come out from the companies. Like, they'll say things like when they release those statements and blame the GPUs and blame, like, saying, oh, you got like a hardware where you got this old CPU and then you got this really nice GPU, and it's your fault because of your computer, basically. That's kind of what I was hearing, and I'm just like, that comes off.
Oh, that's definitely what EA was saying.
Yeah, that comes off off ghetto. It just kind of does. Because at the same time, when you think of like, if you go back to the Days Gone guy who was on the like he had an interview or something. He was just like, buy the effing game day one if
Yeah.
you want a sequel and stuff. Like that's ghetto. It just comes off that way. It comes off unprofessional and janky. And
How about release a game working day one if you want me to buy it day one?
yeah,
Like, the fact that I refuse to buy games day one because I need to hear that it worked first.
yeah,
Like, I didn't even pre-order, like, Hogwarts, right? That was a big deal and a big game for me. And yes, I picked it up the day it released, but that was because the pre-order people got it 5 days in advance and all said it worked. That was the only reason why I could pick it up day one. And it was because of, like, as I always say, WWE 2K20 and Marvel's Avengers.
yeah,
And Marvel's Avengers was just kind of boring and, all that, but it worked. But WWE 2K20 was a hot mess. And it was like, y'all knew. Like, what is going on? Why does everything require the biggest day one patch ever in existence?
yeah.
Like, it should, not every game should need it. Like, the fact that it would be more surprising if a game didn't have a day one patch. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Even Pokemon got messed up. Like, how do you go, like, this many generations into Pokemon? And this isn't even their first open world game. If we want to talk about it, Legends Arceus was open world, right? So it's like Scarlet and Violet wasn't their first open world game. Like, you just had to build on the last one that you did, and y'all still somehow messed it up. And then just be like, oh, it was the Switch, our bad. Like, you knew what you were working with. You did. It's not like you released Pokemon on multiple systems. You know exactly what the Nintendo hardware can handle, and then you try to blame it. Like, no, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Nintendo is on the screen, so I do want to shout out Tears of the Kingdom. This is not Tears of the Kingdom footage, though. This is Age of Calamity. That game
That's working.
is actually yeah, I was gonna say that one is actually working. They took their time with it and pushed it back when they needed to, and they got it up and running, and I guess it's one of the hottest releases right now. So shout out to them for releasing a hot game. Nintendo has been on a warpath because of everything that was going on surrounding this game and its leaks. I have done a very good job of just not seeing anything.
Same.
At the same time, I guess I could mention they did have their debacle with the Super Mario movie leaking on Twitter as well. And I guess like some of the people who posted it, like you could see the little views and it was like 4 or something million views or something, I guess.
I guarantee, though, a good chunk of those was people seeing it a second time. Like, I need them to calm down.
Yeah. Well, this is Nintendo we talking about. They're not going to calm down.
You're right.
They're not going to calm down. But it's funny. I'm still one of those people who's like, I'm probably going to watch that around Christmas. But as weird as it might seem. But I am going to watch it a legit way. I'm pretty sure it's going to go on Netflix or something, and I have access.
I doubt that. I think they want you to buy it.
Buy it. They'll probably be like, it comes preloaded on like Switch 2 or something. But yeah, I do got one complaint for Tears of the Kingdom, a very odd complaint. But it's not the game, it's Target. I gotta complain about where I pre-ordered because apparently my copy doesn't come day one. And it's the same thing that happened when I got Hogwarts. Basically, it's like 3-4 days later in the week is when it's supposed to show up. And that's happening to me right now. Now, they claim it's supposed to happen or supposed to be released to me or delivered tomorrow, but I'm not really sure because tomorrow is going to be Sunday. This goes out Sunday, but tomorrow, as of this recording, is Sunday, and it's Mother's Day for a lot of people who celebrate Mother's Day. So I don't know if that means the post office will have the day off. Probably not, but I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a slowdown. But it should have been released to me right before it. When everybody else got it, because I'm pretty sure you seen yourself, like people taking pictures with it, the streamers got it. I'm like, where's mine?
Oh yeah, people were streaming it already, ready to go. I did check out the beginning of the game, from one of the streamers, and like eventually turned it off and went to go see. It was like the opening like cinematic, but like which is cool, but then like before anything like major happened. But yeah, no, they shipped yours on day one. You don't get it day one. You should have said pick up in store.
So, unless I still get a way to finesse the system out of $10 or something for something, I think I won't really pre-order again. It's funny because that's a different reason from what you said. Like you don't want to do it because the actual game itself will be unpolished. Where for me, I'm just like, well, I don't even get it. I don't even know what's happening. So I'm missing out on the fun. Is everybody else? That was actually going to be a game though, where I was going to take my sweet time with it. I wasn't even going to, it'll be in rotation, but it won't be like my main game. I'm not playing anything else because it's a very relaxing experience when you just play it right after work or whatever, you know? And that's the kind of situation I want to like, I want to utilize it for that. Like I could just sit back, relax, and just kind of play it. I'm record a lot of it, and then I'll cut up some parts for, you know, the podcast in the future. Maybe I'll make a video on something, but I don't think we need that many Zelda videos from me because you're gonna get a gazillion Zelda. You're already getting a gazillion Zelda videos, but yeah. Shout out to this game. It was another one that was, we already said it before, it was going to be in the Game of the Year category. There's a bunch of them already in there. I can mention real quick, I think we mentioned before that Final Fantasy 16 might be in there as well. But apparently Final Fantasy 16 has been banned in Saudi Arabia. I don't know the details, but they don't want you playing it over there, I guess. So yeah. So that's just quick news. Maybe they could figure it out a way around that. Maybe somebody could figure it out. I wouldn't try it over there, but maybe you could figure maybe somebody could figure it out. Shout out to one game that probably is considered a good release. Wolong Dynasty, apparently, you know, even though it's like more of a Souls clone to a lot of people, it did cross over 1 million sold recently, and so we can give it its props. And then shout out to the release of a game that was called Ravenlock that I've mentioned a couple times in like one of my vids. That is, I think it was day one on Game Pass, and it's very heavily inspired by Tears of the Kingdom. If you have like Xbox Game Pass and you didn't want to fork over $70 for Tears of the Kingdom yet, you can go play that, and you literally got a sword and shield similar to Link, and you got Dora the Explorer, and she's doing like a lot of little combat here and there and like going all over the place. And so shout out to that game. I haven't gotten around to that one yet because I wanted to actually play the real Tears of the Kingdom, but that's a big game real for quick. Xbox technically. Yeah. What's up?
I looked it up to see, because I meant to look at why it was banned. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is banned because the nice version is rated M for mature, and some of the mature content, Saudi's like no, and Square Enix won't remove it from the game, so banned.
Do we know like the content itself, or do?
Yeah, you want me to go into detail?
Yeah, you can go into detail. We can talk about.
Okay, so there's a scene where like pretty much two characters laying in bed, and like the girl's caressing the guy, and then you start making sex. There's a sex scene in the game, along with.
Do they got the mini game? They got the old God of War mini games.
Maybe
press this button to do this.
In a while,
okay.
There's F word, and that's where I don't want YouTube getting mad at me. So
okay,
I'm cleaning up the language, but F word, S word, things like that, and then every once in a while, also someone's like butt is showing, or heavy cleavage, or things like that. So
And I ain't seen none of that in the promotional material, man. I saw all fights, man. What's all this other stuff?
The article I just read described it as Games of Thrones-ish content.
Oh wow!
Is like
can't be that much.
And the game is rated ever mature for it was like nudity, sexual content, and hate crime.
Okay.
So that means more than likely someone's gonna get targeted for a way that they are or something like that within the game. I got labeled as hate crime and then violence. I don't think it's gonna be straight up hate crime on some like, what we typically define as you're like, this race. It's gonna be more like, there's probably gonna be some made up religion or something like that gets targeted or something, it's Final Fantasy though. So
okay. I do want to mention
and violence. So I said no.
For anybody out there, do not try it. do not try it. Wait years later, you'll get it through emulation, I guess. But I do want to mention to go along with that, I found out that the Final Fantasy Pixel Collection, which was supposed to be the first 6 games that got ported over to the newer systems, pretty much everything except Xbox, and it was like $75. Apparently, at least for Final Fantasy 1 and 2, it's not the definitive version. The definitive version is called the Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls, which is the Game Boy Advance versions for just those two, because you get more dungeons and you get more boss fights. And apparently they didn't port over that version. They ported over the original Super Nintendo version.
I wonder, I'm sure there's some purists that would prefer that one. And then there's some who's like, no, I want the better version.
Right.
The enhanced, well, I won't say better, but enhanced version is amazing. It's a better version. So you got I want the originals or I want the better. That's a...
Yeah.
Which would you prefer if you got this collection?
So I can mention, I guess, I have started Final Fantasy 1 from the Dawn of Souls version, which was the Game Boy Advance version, but I started it on my Mayu Mini, which was the little handheld. And I haven't really gotten far into it. I kind of just literally started it and was like in the very beginning. But it's pretty much, RPG on Game Boy Advance. It was all still, the pixel stuff, so it's not too advanced. It's just, it's got like, old school Pokemon kind of look to it. Game Boy Advance look to it. But I haven't gotten far enough to give you a definitive impressions. Maybe I will in upcoming weeks. But the last thing I do want to mention with that is, for anybody who was still interested in those type of Game Boys, apparently the Mayu Mini, which was like the hottest one that was hard to get, they're going to release another version going forward, or at least it's a rumor that they were going to put it in a different shell. If you like the Game Boy Advance SP version, which was like a little flip kind of laptop kind of thing, like if you liked that version back in the day, they're going to have, I saw prototype photos for that where it would look, similar to that versus just a Game Boy Color. So maybe you might hold out for that. It's probably still just a shell shop in a way, or shell swap, I guess. But like I wouldn't expect it to be more powerful, but it might be. Who knows? It might be. But yeah, so that's as far as Final Fantasy. Technically, you will be missing out on a couple extra boss fights for just 2 of the games. 3 through 6, everything else is still the same. But yeah, so there's a tiny little bit of content overall that makes it like not 100%. Maybe there's somebody out there who's just like, I want the definitive, just like what I was saying before with Street Fighter 6. That's kind of how I felt about that. But you should still get, great content if you talk about 6 games,
Yeah, true.
Still great content. We can move on. Where are we in this? I guess we can move on to, this is a big topic for me. I don't know if we could, we could move on to it. So speaking of hardware though, that is better hardware, the Asus ROG Alley is right around the corner. And I watched their little presentation, and it was pretty impressive what I was seeing. But the main thing for a lot of people is probably what's the price? What are you getting? And so they have two main models from what I'm understanding, and it's supposed to be like $599 for one and $699 for the best one. And that's like right in between what the Steam Deck is, because I think the Steam Deck was doing like $650 for the highest end, and then I think it was like $550, and then they had that $400 model, which was basically their version of a Switch Pro. And so what the Asus thing is doing is cutting out the low end altogether. And the one that I think I'm probably going to end up getting is going to be the $699 model. This thing is coming out apparently very, very, very soon. It's handled way differently than the Steam Deck, because before the Steam Deck was like you can only get it online. You can pre-order, but the pre-orders are like backdated, and then this section of people can pre-order for this amount of time, and then they're going to get it in 2 months. And it's like, this isn't like that. Apparently you could pre-order it, but it's also going to be available in Best Buy, and you'll be able to pick up your pre-order from Best Buy, which means it's not even, you don't even have to worry about like lost or damaged in the mail at all, which is bigger for me. Because I believe that's probably how I would get it. I don't think I'm going to want to pre-order. I think I'm going to want to just hit buy and then just go pick it up when I'm ready. So the highest end model, it has like 8 teraflops, I guess, something like that. That's the one I was paying attention to the most. It has the most performance packed into it. This is supposed to do 1080p at max, and then it's also supposed to have 120 hertz, which is probably one of the first times I think we've heard of a handheld being able to do that. And the one thing that stands out for me is we always talk about like Epic Games and like the like free games and building your library. Well, it comes with like Windows 11 installed, and you'll be able to pull the Epic launcher like right then and there, and your Steam launcher and Game Pass launcher and like other launchers that's just regular PC launchers. Where I believe on the Steam Deck, they kind of like, you have to do a workaround just to get the Epic games on there. It's like, it doesn't just come with the Epic launcher. That was like the one thing, but it's still, you're still able to get it. Your access to your Epic games, but you had to install like some sort of like other launcher on there and stuff. I saw vids on it and I'm like, okay. But over there, they had a whole section on the Asus where it's like when you pull up the launchers, they like had its own little folder. And it was like, here's Game Pass, here's Steam, here's Epic, here's EA, here's Ubisoft. And I was just like, yo, like that was kind of big. The one thing I think is a little bit of an overkill, they have this thing where it's like it can hook up to an external hard drive, like a 4090, which I think is like $2,000 or something. But if you have it docked, you can like pull, more power out of it, like if it was a regular PC, because it's hooked up to the 4090. But it's like that's a $2,000 add-on. I don't know how many people are going to do that, because like, well, now you're back to where you started.
Just 2,000, just a little bit, $2,000.
I guess I would take that 2,000 and get an actual tower. That's what I want to do.
You could,
or get just the external whatever.
Yeah, that tower is not going to be portable.
It will also, for anybody who be interested in this, I think they do got a mini partnership with Xbox as well. So it's supposed to come with 3 months Game Pass as well. Game Pass Ultimate. So for anybody who's interested, that it has that as well. The one thing about this though that I liked over the Steam Deck, I never really liked the track pads. You remember seeing those track pads just like right underneath the joysticks?
Yeah. Yep.
It was like, I know what it was for. It's for the people who really, really wanted to have like the PC experience a little bit. But to me, it was just not. I didn't care too much for that. I don't think I would have ever used it. And at the same time, I always thought that the joysticks were placed in an awkward looking way, where they give you the type of joystick placement that you're used to, which is kind of off sticked a little bit, just like an Xbox controller, or if you had a Nintendo Switch in your hand. And so I kind of like that too, for the Asus. Another thing that I think this thing has that I don't think people was prepared to hear. Apparently, it also has haptic feedback, which is funny because we were talking about like this PlayStation handheld that was supposed to be happening like 3-4 weeks ago. And one of the selling points for it, even though it wasn't official, was that it was going to have haptic feedback. Well, this is no rumor. It's real. It has a release date, and it will have the same type of haptic feedback on there. So, yeah, it has its features, and I think I'm gonna get it, bro. I don't know if I'm not gonna pre-order. I'm not gonna be one of those like day one testers. It will probably be like, if I could throw a date out there, as early as July 4th, but probably as late as my birthday. My birthday be making the most sense. You know my birthday, the rest of y'all don't. But just somebody figure it out. But yeah, it would be like, that makes more sense if I was to get it around that time. It's a lot more conservative. We know if there's any kinks, it'd be worked out by then. But it's actually going to be available like the second week in June, a few days after Xbox's show. And I guess we can segue. But before we segue, was there anything you wanted to talk about as far as this handheld? Anything that interests you about it, or you had any questions maybe that maybe I can answer because I saw the show?
No, I didn't have any questions. I think we covered it. No, it seems cool. Like, basically, it's if you really wanted the power of your PC, but like handheld, like now is the time. Like, you have options, and jump on it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be beneficial for me just because going forward in the summer, I'm going to work a lot more later hours and stuff. And when I get home and everything, I don't really want to power up a big PC. Now, the little mini Game Boy kind of fills that shoes as far as like my older stuff, but not necessarily like this growing epic game collection. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe Game Pass, or maybe your Steam library. Yeah. And so I would have access with that. But also, like I mentioned before, on the same week, to start off that week, Xbox is going to have their show. That's June 11th. I think that's a Sunday. They really got to come with it this time because Redfall didn't really review too well. The perception of it is not well. And this is where they're going to show their big gun, because the second part is supposed to be an extended showcase for just Starfield, which leads into the release date of Starfield, which I believe is still September 6th. But the showcase is supposed to feature some, but not all, of their big names. But somebody asked Phil Spencer and a couple other people, really Phil Spencer, because he was on a couple other podcasts, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about it because last week I couldn't do the show. But basically, you might not see Fable, but I think what was mentioned was the game Avowed, State of Decay 3, Fable, Everwild, Perfect Dark, Contraband, and then Hellblade 2. And somebody was asking Phil, what's going to be shown, and he was like, some of that was going to be shown. That's basically what he was saying. After that, he was boo-hooing about everything he was boo-hooing about before. And I was kind of upset about it because I was just like, it could, like, Redfall could be a dud. And as much as I don't like that, just for gaming in general and everything, and who wants to have duds? Like, I just didn't like how he was moving as far as like his kind of pittiness or whatever. Like I know there's a lot of people who's like, oh, he's just trying to seem helpless to do the Call of Duty deal or whatever, but it's just like at some point, like I'm not a fan of PR. That's just me. I'm not a fan of like doing PR stuff. Like it don't seem genuine to the people. You come off fake. And then there's like usually in general there's like a lack of testosterone. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I don't like how like he's just was like, even if Starfield is an 11 out of 10, that doesn't mean that we're gonna not be be better or whatever. It was something like that, but it's a while ago now. It's really old news now. It's just I'm gonna need him to just stop doing interviews. Like I don't want to hear more from you. I just want to hear more from the games. Even if the games are not really finished yet, I would rather see B-roll footage of some games that's still in development. Here's a B-roll footage update or something. And you're talking about what you've been doing as progress of the game. And so I don't want to hear Phil Spencer, boo-hooing because he's like being blocked from Activision or Redfall is not that good. And it makes Xbox look bad at a season, I just don't want to hear it. But with that being said, though, they do still have to come with their big guns on June 11th. I think I will be watching it live with like some pizza and wings or something. And apparently it's 2 shows in one. Like they're supposed to do like over an hour of like everything that they're going to show. And then like a whole nother thing for just Starfield, which might go more than 30 minutes. And it's supposed to be just like pure gameplay. And I would imagine they're going to present it like, yo, it's ready. Even though it ain't going to come out for like 4 or 5 more months. But now it's like, I'm really starting to think that it might not be polished. Like it might not be polished. It might be just like what people were saying, like Bethesda, but it goes back to like your other point. Like it's just a gaming thing. It was known with them, but they came out with more polished stuff already. It's just this one, I think there's just so much pressure on it that it might cause people to just not concentrate the way that they might need to because they can't afford to fail. You ever had that kind of feeling where it's just like if you was doing the practice run, like let's say like you were doing a driving test for your like to get your license and you're in a car with like a driving teacher and you like literally drive the whole course. And it's like, well, it was nothing. It didn't matter. But then when you're in the actual car, this is a long time ago when you're like 16, 17 years old. When you're in the actual car with the actual tester to get your actual license, all of a sudden, you're not driving as smoothly as you should have been. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't know if gaming is like that right now where... Like, is it just an issue of just the content creators, like the YouTubers and stuff that kind of capitalize for their own channels by just saying, yeah, this is cool or this is bad. Now, like me for my clout. And like maybe somebody might just be more subconscious about it on their end, with the development cycle. Or I don't know.
I think it's corporate. It's you need to release this game at this time,
no matter
whether
what.
It's ready or not, it's going out there.
Yeah.
Or if it's like we want to release this, notice how many times like it'll just be like, oh well, this is the type of thing that makes money, so put it in the game. And they're like, no. Look, I remember hearing about that from Marvel's Avengers, where you could see the bones of a single player game in there, and then it just felt like 2 games mashed, like 2 half ideas mashed into one, because they were like, well, no, you have to do games as a service because that's what makes money. And then they're like forcing developers to do this because money, right? As opposed to like, they don't care about the games, they just want money. Right. So the developers' hands are tied, and it's like, well, we want to make this one thing, but we got to also find a way to put money, like earning in it, and it's ruining the games. Like, so I think it's corporate. That's what I blame.
Yeah. Which makes it kind of weird when it comes down to Xbox and Phil Spencer and like the Xbox brand, as well as like Redfall, the way it was and stuff. Because when something like that happens, it's like, well, why are you showing up to these podcasts and showing up to these interviews and you're like boo-hooing a little bit when it's like, well, it's your fault. I don't know. Like, right. It's your fault though. It's like I don't know, but this is still their biggest show, so I would like to see more. I really do think that Forza Motorsport is going to be the shadow drop to Game Pass. I think they might actually shadow drop the missing content from Halo as well. Not all of it, but some of it. And then you might see like some other new games here and there. And then a big Starfield showcase. It's just Starfield has to come with like Tears of the Kingdom polish, basically. Yeah. Like it kind of has to. It kind of like there's no way Starfield can have the type of reviews that Redfall just had. Oof. Like it can't. Oof. Like
that'll be rough.
It can't. It really can't.
That'd be really, really bad.
Like they released the little game Ravenlock 2 days after Redfall, which looks like Dora the Explorer meets Breath of the Wild, right? Like I mentioned that a few times. Out of me talking about it, have you even heard about it?
No, I remember there being a commercial, or not a commercial, a trailer for it in one of the indie shows a long time ago because it was in one of my old lists. So like I recognize that name, so it was an old list. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, nope, I haven't heard anything about it.
Right, and so I kind of criticize Xbox a little bit about that because I feel like they don't advertise outside of Game Pass as much as they should. It's just usually just get Game Pass and figure it out. And you don't really see the bigger advertisements until you see the shows. Like the big June show. This June show is usually their biggest show. Last year it wasn't that good. The year before of it was fantastic though. You know, the show and Starfield has to be good this year. If the show is mediocre and then Starfield is bad, that's it will take them 2 years to like reverse their reputation. 2 years of solid releases. It couldn't even be one year. They'll still have a solid service. Game Pass is awesome. It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome service. It's just their releases within it, because all this stuff still comes day one in Game Pass, but if it's day one and it's broken, or day one and considered mediocre, then it doesn't do your brand that well. You just have the reputation that, oh, it's okay, it's a Game Pass game. Well, I've heard people say this now a lot of times, where you didn't really pay for it, so don't worry about it, kind of thing. And I feel like even in a service, you should still get what's considered top notch to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Like Netflix is, you know, a service that has like some original content. Every now and then they'll have some gems, you know. Like, what is that? I can't think of the name of the show. They did the Resident Evil show that wasn't good, but then they did the one show that I think that was from Korea, and they had the like Squid Games. They did Squid Games, and that was huge. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like Game Pass needs a Squid Games, basically. Hi-Fi Rush was good, but I don't think it's Squid Games good. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
That would have been like a smaller level good. But Hi-Fi Rush was great for January, a little bit of February. That can't carry the whole year though. It could carry you into the summer, fine. But now that we're here, it's like, well, that can't carry any further than that. Like that big show, like Redfall was supposed to like pick up the baton and keep going forward, right? It was supposed to keep take the torch and go. It didn't, though. It dropped it, right? So it's like that was supposed to carry you to Starfield or the June show, and then boom. Well, I do think the Forza release, I don't think there's going to be any issues with Forza. I would be very surprised if there was issues with that.
It would be wild if it is.
They
need to avoid the trap that other racing games have been doing lately, where it's like everything's there, and then after release, they patch into where they try to be money hungry.
Yeah,
sure they won't do that. Hopefully,
that kind of killed Gran Turismo 7. Like, unless you was somebody who pulled out like a full racing reel and you was like really, really into it, that killed it. That was just it.
Yes, and that's what they need to avoid.
Yeah, I don't know if they were gonna do that. I did see some. I don't know if it was fanboy stuff or if it was confirmed, but I did see people alluding to the fact that Starfield might have microtransactions. So I don't know. I'm gonna hold all judgment on that until I see the actual Starfield. I'm gonna be sitting there with my little pizza from somewhere and my little wings from somewhere, and then I'll record my own video of my thoughts 3-4 days later, because I don't think I'm gonna be on time with that. That's Sunday. I'm trying to enjoy myself, but yeah. So I am pulling for them. I'm hoping that they can be better, because I, for one, like, I sit in my area with gaming everywhere, and I want all of it to shine, because when it shines, my whole room shines. Like, it's like I don't need like one box like being like it's funny enough because it's actually the Switch, but like one I don't use as much as the rest. But yeah, I think they'll be okay. I don't know if Starfield is going to be the last game of the year contender game, but it definitely has to be. It has to be better than Redfall. I don't know if it needs to be as good as what the representation was for. Well, no, you know what? No, it does. It needs to be as good as Hi-Fi Rush. It does. I think it does. That might be too much pressure on them in a way. It, as far as like the representation, or not representation, like it needs to have the same reputation. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, as what Hi-Fi Rush did. Like, it has to be that wouldn't have, it might have to have the must play on Metacritic, because that was still like a really big talking piece for Xbox, I guess. Outside of that sleeping giant called Elder Scrolls 6, it's like, until you get to that point, this really has to be big. Like, it has to be, or else the brand is just gonna be like really bad for the. I don't think that they're gonna lose where everybody just turns their back on them or whatever, because you still have like a really good service there. But as far as just first party content, their representation. How am I getting those words mixed up? Reputation is like, yeah, it's just gonna be a little. I don't know, but I'm pulling for them.
I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, they already get nonstop jokes. All they had to do was release the system, and it became a whole refrigerator. I got the mini fridge too. It was like, that's exactly what happened. It became a refrigerator. But yeah, we can move on. We can go to the halfway point real quick. The halfway point is going to be real quick, where I just talk about an unofficial sponsor being Epic Games. If you've ever listened this far in the past, then you know I would say all you need is a profile. You don't need a credit card to have an Epic Games profile where you can claim these games. Now is really the time to claim these, because there's so many handhelds that's coming out, and I'm pretty sure somebody else is going to throw their handheld into the market after the Asus. And you could play, you know, these handhelds and play all of these games that you've accumulated over time. And if it's your first, you know, introduction into PC gaming, you'll have a library. So the actual free game is the lifestyle bundle coming from the Sims 4. I think it's called.
Yes, but clarify, it's not. This one is not really a game. Sims 4 is already free.
Yeah,
and then this is some cosmetic stuff. It's not even actually one of the, because like they sell upgrade packs to do extra things. Like it's a real base game, and then you get the upgrade stuff, which each one costs like $40. This is not one of those. It's just extra outfits and stuff like that.
Yeah. Shout out to all the chicks I know who play this like NBA 2K. But yeah, that's from now. You can claim that from now until May 18th. And then from May 18th going to I guess 7 days from then, it's going to be a mystery game. Now, they haven't done a mystery game in a while, but typically like they do some things where it's like there's like the Christmas time where they do like a game like every day. And then if you claim them, like you have to claim them within 24 hours or whatever. Usually that's when they throw the mystery game tag on there. But I guess this particular time, this is the first time I've seen them do this all year, where they don't tell you what the game is ahead of time. So it could be a big game, or it might just be, you know, a regular add-on or a little game like normal. But it's a mystery. We don't know, but it will be revealed on May 18th. And I'll be right back here to cover it the next week. What do you think, man? You think it's going to be big, or you think it's going to be still little?
I think it's going to be still little. I feel like it's honestly, like I made the joke earlier that they haven't revealed it because they don't know what yet. But I feel it's not gonna be like, here's an enhancement pack. I feel like it'll be probably a cool game, just nothing like too crazy. It might be something like most people who really wanted to play it already have it, and this is to try and get a few extra.
So speaking of, I guess I can wrap this into it. The PS Plus collection is now considered no more, but for each and every game that was a part of it, if you go look it up and you haven't claimed it, almost every last one of them are still very cheap. You should have no problem getting them for a good price, even used, or at a great deal if you got them on like Black Friday brand new. But yeah, the PS Plus collection is no more. They finally, you know, got rid of it. And then also, I guess I can mention, if you were somebody out there that actually got the Playdate, we talked about the Playdate here and there, you know, a little tongue in cheek, but they kind of are a force to be reckoned with in their little area, because they had so many games that they had on their system. But apparently they have what's called Pulp for Playdate, which is a free service which allows you to do something similar to like Super Mario Maker, where you're just making games under the Playdate platform, and then you can sell those games as well. And we haven't heard too much going on. Like when you're saying what's going on with gaming, I don't know if that applies to the Playdate, bro. I don't know if it applies to it, because they can come out with their stuff. But they have a way for it to be open source where you can figure out how to make games with their software, which I might look more into it, because that could be a cool little revenue stream for some people. You might make a couple hundred.
That would be cool.
So that's something I might look into. Yeah, so
Soulja Boy should jump in there, man. Crank that.
Oh my gosh.
So sorry, that was a bad joke. But I was gonna say, speaking of the creative stuff, Fall Guys just had an update.
Okay.
Where now users can create levels.
Okay.
So they've been putting like user created levels. So they've I played a few of them. They're actually pretty good. But yeah, they have user created levels now.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't really have too many sales as far as right now. But I will say, at least for myself, I did pick up Lego Star Wars Saga for like $15 from Best Buy. I caught a little deal, but I think for normal retail that's like $20 now. You should find that for $20 everywhere. If you
Okay.
haven't gotten it already. I still didn't see all the later films, the Disney version of the film, so I got to watch all that first before playing it. But yeah, I did want to mention congratulations to the Mortal Kombat franchise. They recently was celebrating 30 years, and they
Yeah.
released like a little teaser for Mortal Kombat 12 along with that celebration. I think that was like a week and a half ago or whatever. So some of this stuff I didn't get to mention this last week because I had a little emergency, so I'm running through it. We're almost done with it though. One game I want y'all to look up: United Football League (UFL). This
Yeah.
apparently is going to be a free-to-play game that could, in theory, be competition to Madden one day if it catches on. But it looked very, very good. I think it was running under Unreal Engine, and yeah, it looked really good. So free to play, that might be a little spooky to some. We don't know what that means, but I can imagine you should still be able to play a full game from start to finish, which is like the main point for a lot of people anyway. So
I
yeah,
just want something where the players are smart. Like I actually just like I was playing Madden uninstalled
hmm
um about a month ago, just because it gets frustrating where it's like there's 32 people, right?
yeah,
You can't control like every single person at every single moment, but it felt like when I was playing the game, the especially like you throw the ball, I felt like my wide receivers were running the route regardless of what was happening, while the defense would always run to the ball. It felt like all of my players were just dumb and theirs like were smart. So it was just like, and it's like I'm the type of person like I'm not trying to play on rookie because then I end up winning like 98-10, right? Like and
hmm
I usually play all pro or all Madden only, um, and again like against the computer, it's just they don't do anything. It's me versus like everybody, and it gets really annoying where it's like things that should work all of a sudden don't work because the computer's playing smart and my players aren't. So I don't know. It's just it would be nice if they have some competition because hopefully even if the game is like okay, like if
hmm
it's not just the greatest thing in the world, maybe if EA sees it, they're gonna put more effort into making sure people stay with Madden.
yeah.
Healthy competition can hopefully just bring the better out. Like there's little things, create a team and like I don't know, they keep just selling the same thing over and over, literally.
Yeah.
Uh, and just putting a new name around it. Like the whole acting smart on the field was Field Sense, something they advertised in like 2018, and they're just advertising it again. It's like Field Sense, and it was the
There were
same thing.
still some of the situations too, though, right, where you could see certain logos still had the last year's logo in the
Yeah,
game.
if you dove into the created like arena part, it
Yeah.
would have the old logo in there. Like they just didn't even update it. They only update the part where you have to pay. Like the ultimate teams
Mm,
with the packs and all that other stuff. That's the only part that gets updated. Um, which is why I got upset that WWE started doing that as well. With they have the mode where you buy packs, the my
hmm
faction mode, and it's just like no, because it's the only thing that gets attention. They even like did it last game where because of controversy stuff, they removed a character that was supposed to be in the DLC, and they were
hmm
like, okay, since we're removing this character, we'll give you two my faction cards instead. And it's like I don't play my faction. Like this does nothing for me. You removed a playable character that was available in all modes and gave me two things that are only specifically available in the mode where I'm supposed to keep paying money.
Right.
Because everything that went to my faction, unless you were on PC and you had the hacker community behind you and the mod community behind you, all of those characters were locked
Yeah.
into my faction mode. So it's just they're only supporting the stuff where they can be like, give us more money, right? And that was the thing I complained about earlier. That seems to be all they care about is how much money can we make off of this.
Yeah, I think with WWE too, it would be very interesting if the AEW game comes correct. It almost sounds like it won't though, unfortunately. It sounds like once they get that out, it's going to be the first version obviously
If it
of
ever comes out.
yeah, but it don't seem like it's going to be at the level of what 2K or WWE has established with that game cuz they have years of like experience with or just years of built-in code that they keep reusing and stuff where AEW technically is building from the ground up. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. I'm really pulling for that one too. Just like Starfield. I'm like, I need that to be good. Because I kind of stopped playing WWE games for a lot of things that I didn't like in like some of the, later releases and stuff. Um so yeah, I'm just hoping that they do a better game there. Yeah. As far as a game that should be better or is better but not or whatever's going on, what's going on with Chained Echoes, man?
Yeah,
You want to talk
so
about this? Let's talk about it.
there was this indie game that randomly just started getting review bombed on Metacritic. It was like no written reviews, like at
Okay.
all. It was just like low score, low score, low score, low score, until it was like dropping to like user score of like 4 out of 10 and stuff like that. It seems to have been fixed, but like the
Okay.
indie developer is like, "Yo, Metacritic, I thought we were trying to fight this, or is it only for AAA games?" Like they were really upset. What it came down to, what some people and what they think it was, is they did a Reddit Ask Me Anything post,
Mm-hmm.
and they said sometimes people go on there and just go, when will it be translated into this language, right? So it'll be like, when will it be in French, right? Because I read French, I don't read English, and your game's only English and Japanese. When are you going to give me a French dialogue? And a lot of these indie developers are like, well, that's expensive. Uh,
Gotta use
and
Google
so we can't.
Translate. You gotta
Right,
Google
because it's
Translate.
too expensive to try and do this in every language, so we picked these two markets mainly. So they
Okay.
think that's why it got review bombed. It was a bunch of people asking, translate it to French and German and Spanish, and when they were like, it costs too much, we can't. Then they went on there and was like, well, the game's trash, uh,
That's
and
crazy
did
to
it.
do on an
So
indie game too, man. Not an
yeah,
indie game, man.
all this to say as well, I would say when you watch reviews, read why.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I go to reviews, I like going to Steam for reviews specifically because you have to play a minimum amount of hours.
Right.
Like Steam tracks it in order for you to even do a review. Like it'll be like, all right, you played for 4 hours, go ahead and you can put a review. And things like that, and you get a lot more wide variety. And I would say also read. Don't just read the recent reviews and carry on unless they're like, hey, they just released an update and it ruined everything. But like read through the reviews and read some of the positive ones too. Like if I go to something and everything's overwhelmingly positive, I
Yeah.
bring up the 1-star reviews. I want to see what they said. Um,
That
and if
reminds me
everything's
of
overwhelmingly negative, I bring up the 5-star reviews. Like, let me see what this person said. Because the 1-star reviews are all just like, it's broken here, it didn't work here, blah, 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 blah. And then the 5-star review says, it was great. Or they're like, well, on my 4090, it worked. Well, then I
right.
know, okay, like, no. And I've seen it the other way too, where everybody's like, yo, the game's fun, it's this, that, and the other. And when I look up a bad review, I've literally seen a review before where they just said, yo, this character here was trash. Like they didn't like one sentence that that person said, so they did 1 out of 5 for the entire thing.
You know, it's like that type of thing happens when people are trying to find a job and they'll look up the reviews of the job and it'll be the most hilarious thing because it'll like you could tell some of them are people who are already at the job that like put fake reviews out. Whereas it's like, yo, this is like the most fantastic job I've ever had, and this is a great place to work. And then you'll see the real reviews later on, like the management is awful and blah 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 blah. And they're always talking about when I'm trying to like go on break and stuff. That's what that reminds me of.
Eh. But like
Yeah.
to make a point too, I was catching up on Law and Order SVU. I was rewatching through older episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I would like read reviews as well to see if I missed anything or things like that. And there were certain episodes that would get a 1 star like review, like a 1 out of 5, and the person was just like, "Man, this character was annoying." And the character was in there to be annoying. Like that was the whole point. They
Yeah.
were supposed to be an annoying character, and like you would think this person lived through it. It was like, ugh, like this person got on my nerves 1 out of 5, and I'm like, that's not a valid like reason. Like, was the episode good? Did you enjoy everything else? Like, it was the same thing. Not to bring it back up, but like some of the people who were like, "Yo, Hogwarts Legacy got this. It was this great. It was this great." However, there's some controversy because the person who invented Hogwarts said some stuff we don't agree with, so we're gonna have to dock it a few points. And it's like, why? That has nothing to do with it. And
Yeah.
like that I
My
was like,
favorite was
sorry, we
still
gotta
the
give it a
1
one
out
out of
of
five.
10. My favorite was
Yeah.
still the 1 out of 10.
Yep. So
That's so
read
funny.
through, and I also understand the market. Like, I'm sorry, like indie developers sometimes can't, and sometimes you might have to help them out. That's why there's modders who put this stuff out there. Like,
Yeah.
they make the translation for it, and it's just you're gonna have to sometimes wait and do that. Especially if the indie game came out on PC. Like,
At this
somebody there
point,
can
though, I
translate it.
think only a small game like an indie game you really need to check reviews for, because typically when it's a bigger game, like you don't really have to go into the details. You would kind of know because there will be so much either positive or negative at this point. Like Tears of the Kingdom right now, I don't think I really need to go and check the reviews, even though there was like I guess one particular reviewer that I guess gave it a 6 out of 10 or something, and everybody was like mad at that one person. But it was like if it's just one guy who did that and everybody else was like positive, then that should tell you everything you need to know about the game.
True.
Like that should tell you enough to know whether it's worth it or not.
I would
Um,
also like to say too, people keep in
yeah,
mind 6 out of 10 is not necessarily bad, or 7 out of 10. Like, it's still above average in terms of rating a game. Like, I
hmm
don't know. I just feel like if we can be a
it
little more
depends on how
comfortable with that,
hardcore of a gamer you are, though. Like if you're
true,
casual, 6 out of 10 might just be like, well, I might not get this.
right?
Or a 6 out of 10 might be, okay, I'm scooping this Black Friday. Because that's how I
Something
look
like
at
that.
it.
Yeah.
I look
So,
at it
but
like
that's how
that.
it feels. Like, don't completely, like, 6 out of 10. How dare you say it was the worst game in the world? Like,
Yeah.
that's not what that means.
Um,
And that's how some people treat it. And it's like, I don't think sometimes, like, I feel like certain games will get artificially inflated to be on the same level as on some like God of War or something like
yeah.
that, solely because people don't want it to make it look like it's a bad score.
I
And
think
it's just like, just
Biomutant
remember
was a
above
6 out of
average.
10, wasn't it? Like
Yeah. And
Biomutant
it's
was
like
somewhere over there. Yeah.
above average, right? It's still a decent game.
Yeah.
It's something you can still put some hours in. I don't know.
Now I
Just
would say like if it's
ratings
something
are
6
wild.
out of 10, then I probably won't be like spending day one money on it, you know?
No, 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 no. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that.
So,
But
but I
I would also
wouldn't.
say you don't have to necessarily write it off. Like, one of my favorite games, I think, was like low scored. The Army of Two
Uh huh.
series, that whole series of games. Um, I believe at maximum made it to like 7 out of 10s or something like that.
But I mean, we
Uh,
mention this every now and then, but according to the internet, Resident Evil 5 and 6 was not good, right?
True.
But we had a
Yeah.
good time with it. It was
Yeah.
goofy. We just laughed around with it. Um, I would put, I know this might be controversial to somebody. I would put the earlier Borderlands games in that category of like a 6 out of 10. I think
Absolutely.
you make the experience better with co-op, but I don't know how far I would have gotten into the series to even make it to 3 if I had
Nope.
to do that by myself.
Like,
Like,
and again, I find the story entertaining. I do find the
yeah.
characters entertaining, but a lot of the gameplay I find annoying. Or you know what? Another
Outriders is
thing.
another one I would put in that
Mhm.
like Outriders. I think I scored in the 7 range. I think, but I think co-op made that better. and us laughing, or at least I was laughing at like how the acting was bad. I felt like the acting
Yeah.
was bad, but it was like tongue in cheek for me. But if I was one of those people who played it immediately when it was in Game Pass or bought it immediately, I could see how you would probably be upset or whatever. But
Yeah. But I would say just don't completely write, everything
yeah,
off
it
right.
was fine for what it was, and then that was it. And I'm kind of done with
Resident
it.
Evil 5 and 6 were fun. You know what's another game that's like that? I just realized
Yeah.
Mass Effect, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
As I was playing through that again, I realized like as great as that game is, and it's like an RPG player's like dream game.
Yeah.
The shooting mechanics is horrible. Like it literally like everything about it that takes me out of it, and it's like such a major part that's your combat. But I feel like it's just like standing in front of somebody else, like as a kid, going pew 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 until one of you be like, "Oh, you got me!" Like that's what the shooting feels like in that game. Like it is atrocious.
Yeah. But I guess we could probably move on to the next topic. Did you want to talk about? I guess there was a writer's strike with the
Yes,
what's
there
popping with
is.
this? What's going on
There
with it?
is a writer strike. So writer strike 2023. Basically, what's happening is TV like writers and everything are not getting paid what they deserve. So when we think about
That's
older
all of
television,
us.
yeah, right. But when we
I
think
need
about
more
older
money.
television, right,
Yeah.
seasons of a TV show were typically 22 to 25 episodes long, right?
Uh-huh.
A writer gets paid per episode produced. Well, with the rise of streaming and short attention spans and all this other stuff, TV shows are now like 10 episodes long, right? Like it'll be like
Right,
the
right.
season will be 10 episodes to 12 episodes. Some of them 8. And I've seen some shows at 6 episodes, right? Um
Last of Us was 9, right?
9 episodes, right? Yep.
Yeah.
And things like that, but they're still getting paid the same amount per episode. So there's people who would like typically like if they're getting paid for 25 episodes and now they're only getting paid for 12, their entire salary just got cut in half. Right? So like they're like, "Yo, we need to renegotiate these deals if y'all want to sit here and stream everything." So everybody kept making jokes thinking that it has to do with another topic I was going to talk about. I thought they were talking like AI, like the Chat GPT was
Yeah.
replacing them. That's what I thought it was, and it's not that. It's specifically their arguments like, "Yo, pay us more." So what I was also thinking about is I wonder which show is going to end up getting ruined because of this. Not that it's their fault. I'm not blaming the right. Like, get your money, you deserve it, for sure. But I remember back in was it 2009 was the last writer's strike, I believe, and the show that got ruined, uh, was Heroes. I remember that there was that show
Okay.
Heroes. If you remember that one, um, or maybe it was 2007. Writer's strike 2007. Yeah,
Like people
2007 to
strike all
2008.
the time though, don't they? Cuz
Yeah,
technically
but like
I don't know. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know
with
what's
the
going on.
Writers Guild, like this is the one where all the writers this is like we're done writing for the show until like this works out. So there was the
Mhm.
Writers Guild strike of America in 2007 to 2008, and I specifically remember Heroes. It was one of my favorite shows at the time. Um, they were leading up to an event that was supposed to it timed out because the show was like airs every Tuesday, and the date that they were leading up to was like the Tuesday where it would have went on season finale, like in like February. And it kept advertising that specific date and everything. That was supposed to be the culmination of everything that happened. But then the writers went on strike in like December, and the season ended up getting cut short, and they had to just kind of work around it. If you remember, like 2008 was all of a sudden where like a lot of shows had like a random just 13 episode season, like for the first time.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Everything got cut because of the writer's strike. So because of that, it like Heroes lost all of its momentum. They had to rewrite the story. They had to edit out around their like special event where it happened sooner or something like that. And it just kind of ruined the show, and it never was able to pick up from there. So I'm wondering which show, because there's a lot that's affected. That show Shy, the SCI like Chicago.
Mhm.
Uh, that one they were gonna film apparently on Friday, but because it was currently a strike in the area where they were filming, they have to film on Monday instead. Uh, Daredevil got pushed back, right? Because the writer's room, the show Yellow Jackets, it's on Showtime. They went 1 day for season 3, and then the strike started, so they only got 1 day of writing done. So if these TV shows are producers, streaming you get a little bit more flexibility, right? If they drop a whole season, they could be like, "Hey, we're pushing it back to November instead." But for TV syndication, it's like, nah, these shows need to come out in September, right? Like it's like this is where we're not doing reruns. Your show needs to be out by like the first week of October or something like that. If the writers can't write, they can't film. So depending on when this gets done, I wonder which shows are going to get rushed or messed up because they had to quickly write something so they could film their season. Or even shows that drop here's the full 10 episodes. If they're trying to reach a deadline, I wonder, because like actors' contracts, right?
Yeah.
If you only have them for so many years and it's about to like run out and now you got to pay them and pay them to sign on for longer to finish the show, it's like, what's going to happen? So I'm interested to see which show gets messed up like the most. I know currently all the late night talk shows, SNL, and some of the daytime talk shows are all on hiatus. Because they don't have writers. So they're all like, you're not going to see Jimmy Fallon or anything like that like going on right now. SNL, it was funny, the week Pete Davidson was supposed to return to host, that episode got canceled because the writers went on strike that week. So
it sounds like something that you would have thought would have happened with WWE years ago.
That's the only one that's still going.
It would have made sense, right? Yeah, they'll figure it out. I don't think it would necessarily hurt Last of Us 2, maybe, but like technically depending for something like that, something like that, I feel like don't they already have the story? I don't know, because I don't know.
They do. But of course, the writers got to edit it and write it out for like other people.
Maybe if they got to make changes and stuff, because they did. Yeah, you know what? They were making changes every episode, so maybe when Last of Us 2 comes around for the TV version, they'll make changes here and there. So we'll see.
What I was gonna say is this might actually help Last of Us 2 because it gives Ellie a chance to grow up a little bit more. If they wait a little bit before
they might do the reverse orphan thing where instead of making her shorter to make her taller, they might do something like that.
Yeah.
We'll see. The
side
other
note,
thing,
apparently that's the same. By the way, just as a quick side note, they've been calling it BBLs for men, where people are getting like growth, like in their knees. Just throwing it out there real quick. Look it up yourself.
I don't want to look that up.
Don't do it.
Like y'all looked that up. Go ahead. There's been plenty of Toka and Razor looking people as it is, but
it's not out there. My bad. But
the only other thing I got really is just an announcement just for TV show stuff, because we didn't really talk TV show stuff in a while. I was just going to mention they are going to do a sequel for the movie Black Phone. So Black Phone 2. I don't know if it's in development yet or it's just early stages or they just announced it, but they're going to do a Black Phone 2. For anybody who's seen the horror movie Black Phone, if you haven't seen it, I would suggest just go watch it. And maybe you can let us know in the comment section if you made it this far, if you like it or not. But they are going to do a sequel for that. I think that's all I got. I think as far as next week, we'll figure out what the mystery Epic Games game is, and then hopefully I can give you some impressions on Tears of the Kingdom. I will say I did in the middle of recording this, I did get an email coming from Target saying, "Hey, giving you an update, blah 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 blah. It's coming tomorrow." And I'm like, okay. 2 days later after its release, so they sent me another message talking about, yeah, it's coming tomorrow. This Mother's Day is Sunday. I was like, all right, because I actually was going to either eat or I don't know. I'll wait for it though. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. But I ain't got nothing else, man. This might be a short episode. Go ahead.
One more thing. So have you been hearing about the AI music? I figured it's another tech thing we can talk about. Uh,
I've heard about like stuff with Drake, the musician.
yeah. So he was
Excuse
getting
me.
upset.
Yeah.
So basically, there was somebody like was able to ghostwrite, like write their own thing, but they've been using like tech to mask their voice to sound like one of these celebrities, and everything. And there's different like AI generated like voices that you can use. And somebody did that to make a bunch of songs that sound like Drake. One of the ones that I heard, that keeps getting taken down and re-uploaded, is called "Heart on My Sleeve," which is Drake in The Weeknd. And I will say when the singing starts, and for the Weeknd part, you can tell it's not them. But the Drake rapping part, if you had
Mm-hmm.
just released that, you would have thought it was a new Drake song.
Oh wow.
Like, matter of fact, what gives it away that it's AI is by them putting The Weeknd, and you can clearly tell it's not The Weeknd. But if they had just made up a person, like if it was like, here's a new rapper that Drake just decided to rap with because this person had money, it'd be hard to convince otherwise until Drake said, I didn't do it.
I've heard of some YouTubers putting out YouTube content where basically the AI and the chat like generated the full video for them. They weren't even doing nothing. And it was just
Uh-huh.
like their voice and the topic. And they just created the visual. And it was like an all audio video. I might have to look into that, man. I'll get some more content going because I've been lacking. But yeah. So I've seen that. It can be kind of scary,
Oh,
but
it's absolutely scary. Technology is getting far too powerful.
yeah.
Oh, my little mini rant. I argue with somebody because they're like, "No, it's not," and I'm like, "People got Alexa controlling every appliance in their house, including like locks on the door." It's just when I see things like this, and they're like, now you can use AI generated images. Remember they showed the images
Yeah.
of like Trump running from the cops, and like you got that
The deep
along with now
fakes,
you
I
can like
guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
deep fakes and masking people's voices to
Yeah.
make like super deep fake like videos now and things
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. It's just for me. It's like Terminator came out in the '90s. Why are we moving towards that? Like in my head, I was like things like I remember there was one where they said somebody thought that they could like revive dinosaurs or something like that, and I'm like, there's been a bunch of movies that said that's a bad idea.
I
Why
remember
would you
seeing
do it?
some news articles that probably was more meme material where it was like scientists are working very hard to bring back the T-Rex or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
things
like
like that. I'm
what?
like, and when you see it, it's like I know it was a joke, but at the same time, it's like
Nah, somebody
there's
out there doing it.
Jurassic Park, 1, 2, 3, Jurassic World. Like it's like we
Somebody gonna
had
do it,
movies
man.
that
They gonna
said
bring it
don't
back.
do this, and it's like now we're making AI that like Snapchat has it, where you
Yeah.
can now just have a conversation with AI that'll talk back and do things. Chat GPT is doing people's homework. Like it's like we're making technology too smart to where it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds just like us, and it's like you're gonna be replaced. Like, and I feel like I'm going crazy because it's like I'm saying it, and everybody's like, ha. And it's just like, no, like we've seen it in movies and books. Like everything said it's a bad idea, and somebody was like, no, we should still do it. So eventually we'll all be robots. It'll be Rocket Launcher Robot Podcast brought to you
I
by Robo
mean,
Basis.
I'm late in the game. I'm not, I wouldn't be too mad. I'll be like, you know what? My time is up, man. My time is up. If I was still like, if I was 18 and it's like, man, they replacing me already, I ain't do nothing. You want to replace me now? I was like, you know what, man? Go ahead and replace me, man. Let me get some
Supreme,
residuals. Well, I need some residuals, but yeah,
Supreme
that's
King GT and Robo Mazes bringing you Rocket Launcher Podcast. That's where we're at.
shout out to the AI. Well, hopefully to YouTube out there, I should get my copy of Tears of the Kingdom for everybody who wanted their copy day one. I hope y'all got y'all's and y'all playing it and y'all enjoying it. You may not want to pre-order from Target. I know I finessed the $10 out. Maybe that's the cost of it, but there's a game on the screen, Hogwarts Legacy. My finesse, if anybody remembered, was I got $10 back from buying Hogwarts. So I pre-ordered Hogwarts, got the $10 back, and then took that to pre-order Tears. Hogwarts also came in 3-4 days later. And it was one of those things where it was just like, I literally could have just went into a store, but yeah. So don't pre-order from Target specifically. You can probably buy it once it's out from Target, but if you really, really want it day one, you're not gonna get it day one. So that's what I'm letting y'all know. Other than that, I'll give you some impressions next week. I do plan on playing it at night, little by little here and there. I ain't gonna beat it for a long time. I'm going to really take my time with it. Create, Titanics and stuff in the grass. So, yeah.
That's what's up. Real quick, real quick, to complain a little bit more about AI. There's this influencer, this girl, Karen Marjorie, who was able to make an AI Snapchat thing that pretty much replicates her, that people can pretty much date for $1 a minute and like talk to, because she posts a bunch on Snapchat.
I can't be mad at her.
Nah, a bunch of dudes be thirsty, and she was like, I can't respond to everybody because she gets too many messages a day, and she has like a large following. Like she, nearly 2 million people on Snapchat, and 98% of her fan base is male, and everybody's sending her messages. She's like, I can't respond to all of those. So she started using Chat GPT or GPT-4 to make an AI version of herself that's like pretty much like replicates her voice, mannerisms, and personality. And for $1 a minute, fans can chat with her on there. And apparently she estimates she's on track to make like $5 million a month. The product made more than 100,000 the first week.
Wow.
And there's a waiting list for people to gain access. For this
At this point, they know and they're still doing it.
Yeah, and she's just perfect. Oh, she announced it. She said, I can't respond to everybody, so I'm making an AI that's just like me. And you can talk to it and do all this other stuff and send messages to it. There's other stuff for $1 a minute, and it'll interact with you. Which is like the hotlines, like of the 90s. It's the new version of that. But it's like she's just completely replaced by AI now and just making money. Can't be mad at her. Like, get your money, girl. But, yeah, that's happening.
Shout out to making money, man. I love to see it.
Tech is crazy.
Anyways, I think that's all we got for you here. We're going to play a couple games over here. I hope y'all playing some good stuff, over there. Maybe Tears, maybe something else. But, yeah, I hope to get back with you soon with more single person videos. I do plan on recording like 1 or 2 tomorrow. And that'll go up later on this week. 1 for sure, but I don't know about 2. The other one might be like stretched out a little bit longer. But thank you so much for watching some of my older content. I do see views go up on it all the time. I think the one that was like 20 games in one, that one is now one of my higher view, or highest, not highest, but like in the upper viewed videos basically. And that's more recent. Ooh. So I appreciate it. And yeah, you're going to see more content like that going forward. I'm going to start showcasing a lot of those type of games on the channel, especially when I start getting like the handheld device, a better PC. I want to showcase the little stuff, because who's coming to me to watch Tears? Like, really, at this point, like who's going to come to me to see Zelda? So, but you might come to me to see Ravenlock. You might come to me to see Tiny Thor. Shout out to Tiny Thor. But yeah, other than that, have a great rest of your day. I will catch you next week. Peace.